Hello, my name is James Bourne, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Dan Malin, founder and CEO of Lucy, and Sammar Farooqi, VP Strategy, Cloud Innovation and Business Development at SAP. And we're going to be talking about, among other things, trends in AI development that organizations need to look out for. One such trend is with regard to AI assistance, and we'll be hearing later on how Lucy and SAP are addressing that opportunity. We'll also help you understand how the two companies work together and how their partnership is laser focused around the customer. But for now, I think we can start with some introductions from both of you. Dan, if you could start first, perhaps.
Great. Thank you so much, James. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm Dan Malin, one of the founders of Lucy, and here to kind of discuss how AI works and is applied into that workplace, and excited to share our partnership with SAP and as part of the SAP IO program, which we'll explain a little more later.
Thank you for the kind invitation and a pleasure to be here. I am Sammar Farooqi from SAP. I'm part of the Global Industry Business Unit, looking after retail and wholesale distribution. So in that team, we take a global view in terms of innovation, AI, and opportunities for our customers, and in particular, in my role, focused on retail wholesale distribution customers, and working with SAP IO and our ecosystem partners to bring the best of innovation jointly with SAP and our partners, such as Lucy, to the attention of our customers and delivering incredible value and opportunity.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. So let's both sort of set the scene, if you will. Obviously, if you're watching this, then you've heard the introductions as well. You'll certainly know what Lucy does, and you'll know what SAP does as well. But if you could both sort of tell me, about the partnership, how the two companies work together, how the two companies came together, and sort of what that means for customers, and the sort of the key tenets of the partnership. I don't know which of you would like to go first, but Dan.
Yeah, thank you. Well, SAP has a really cool program for innovation, and it's called SAP IO. And so they go out and look for companies. It's not something you apply for or apply to. They find you. And after reviewing hundreds of companies, they selected a group of a dozen in our cohort. And then the best part is they help us become integrated into the SAP application. So our application, how it works, enterprise knowledge management, the concept of connecting to all your data. Well, we were connected to, SharePoint and Teams and other locations where you stored information. And through this process, we've become connected to SAP CX, SuccessFactors, HANA, and we continue down kind of a roadmap of our integrations into the SAP tools. And so there's this facilitation, and then a go-to-market process also, where we work with the SAP go-to-market teams, sales teams, reps on accounts, and we co-sell. Lucy is part of the solution set that again helps SAP and SAP applications do cool and great things, and we're not the only one, but we of course are the only one that I care about. Sammar, do you have more to add?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you, Dan. And the partnership, is built on a win-win proposition that SAP invests in SAP IO effectively as an incubator to identify leading innovation across the entire spectrum globally. And we have foundries, SAP IO labs, if you like, across many locations globally. And there we offer opportunities for startups to work with SAP and guide them through that process of firstly finalizing their product, but also identifying points of integration. And the win-win for SAP is to leverage highly creative, highly innovative solutions that we see opportunity for with our customers, and then build those integrations and go to market jointly, as Dan was saying. So then we can bring the best of some of the latest innovations in almost anything you can think of in almost every industry with a clear application. We can find opportunity for that with our SAP IO partners. So the idea is then that no innovation is left behind. SAP has its own offering, of course, and a core offering, but the value to startups coming through the SAP IO process is that they can access that customer base. And those integrations are quite fundamental, and they act as a force multiplier for that innovation, right? So for example, whether it's computer vision or machine learning, artificial intelligence, when applied to the data that a customer has through the SAP integrations, you can generate tremendous value and great point innovations that deliver real business success to the customers. And that's what we are jointly trying to position.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. So that obviously makes sense with regard to the synergies and how both companies are sort of working together. But I guess obviously, you mentioned the innovation and the points of integration as well. For AI in 2024, we're kind of looking at how organizations are having to deal with this tsunami of information, not just the information, but of the innovation, the technological innovation happening at a sort of frightening speed. So I guess what I want to ask both of you is what are the key kind of signposts on the horizon for organizations navigating this AI landscape, and how are you advising clients about this? What are the key signposts, do you think?
It's such a time, and the speed of change has never been faster, right? We're innovating on the weekly basis, not on an annual basis or 18-month or 3-year or even traditionally kind of 7-year technology cycles. So that speed change has really become a concern on how you kind of future-proof that investment. And so many people are out there trying to build something, trying to do something, trying to leverage all the tools that are becoming available, and trying to learn all of the components. And part of the advantage of using packaged software, people that are doing this for you, is the fact that you can kind of future-proof that investment. It's not you're going to spend the next 18 months building something to catch up to what already exists, only to find yourself behind for everything that came out in the last 18 months. What we want to do is get people to say, hey, we're investing in platforms together, SAP, Lucy, and those platforms are going to take me to where I need to be, as opposed to I got to keep investing and building, investing and building, investing and building. The other piece is companies are in a situation where they have to do something. It's not deemed as it's an option that I may or may not participate in this AI economy. And the other piece, there's so much talk about AI. AI has been used for 20 years in every corporation. AI, we use it every day in our calendaring. We use it every day in our navigation. We use it every day in our systems, in our factories, in our, across the board. What we're really talking about is generative AI and large language models and knowledge management, and the capabilities of these things coming together is differentiating, as opposed to the fact that we've been doing machine learning. We've been doing, I say, how did you get to wherever you were going today? We use Google Maps, we use whatever technology. Your car, everything you do is built on platforms of AI in some forms. The newness is all the revolution that's happening in large language models, generative, and the applications, not just to text, but to video, to actually car navigation, other places that it's being applied in this next wave.
Yeah, absolutely. And I 100% agree with what Dan has said. In terms of those signposts, I mean, yes, absolutely. The pace of innovation is always increasing, and we've all seen those graphs, right, of how many years it took for radio or TV or internet or Facebook, etc., to achieve critical mass, in terms of mass market adoption. And we've seen that obviously with ChatGPT. So let me say ChatGPT first on this particular call. But we've seen that, achieve mass market, in a matter of weeks. But when it comes to business leaders of any size and description, whether you're a large business, whether you're multinational, whether you're a small business, decisions have to be associated with value when it comes to innovation. Of course, there's always a lot of noise, and sorting the noise from the clear opportunity is also very important. And that's what we are here jointly with SAP IO to help customers understand that, Where is the fundamental opportunity? What value does it drive? And then most importantly, then, do you have the key enablers in your organization to make it happen? Right. So generative AI may be available, AI in all its flavors may be available, et cetera, and all the other host of innovations coming down the track. But is your organization ready for adoption? Right? One of the key metrics of that, for example, is data. Data is the fuel for any AI solution, especially generative AI. If your data, if your house is not in order, you're not going to have the fundamental foundation to take advantage of these. You can't leap successfully into a generative AI future hoping to get value out of that without the fundamentals in place. So the approach that we take, with our customers is help them understand right from the core, the clean core, from the basis of your core organization and how it's organized and the key infrastructure and operations that go into that. And then around that, as you start to cluster key solutions and key capabilities, that's when you can start to extract value. And as Dan rightly said, working with a professional partner whose only job is to build these innovations, they're best placed to have a long-term relationship with you to can drive that continuous innovation. So ultimately, for you as a customer, for you as a business partner of SAP or SAP IO or Lucy, you're looking to have that effectively, as a long-term, ongoing relationship with continuous innovation built in for which you extract the value from, as opposed to taking risks and hedging your bets and trying things at home on your kitchen table, which is unlikely to achieve results. Nothing wrong with experimentation, of course, but if it's best to work with those who know it best and can help you identify the fundamental business value. Otherwise, when it comes to at the end of the day, a business case and investment decision, a panic buy for a given innovation may not be the best choice unless you've understood what value will it create for your organization, for your people, how will it impact that from a cost reduction, from profitability, from margin, from customer retention, from deeper insight. How will you drive value from that, right? And this is what ultimately will convince your stakeholders, your shareholders, your investors, your board, your employees that you're taking smart decisions around this innovation to create value that secures the medium and long-term benefits and success of your company.
Okay, great. Thank you. Lots of good stuff there, obviously, around, as you say, Sammar, sort of detecting the signals, the adoption, the structure side of it as well. And Dan, as well, obviously, you're very correct in pointing out the difference between AI as we knew it and the generative AI, the LLMs, and the potential there. And I suppose to that point, one thing we did see in 2023 was greater scrutiny on how this technology could be applied, looking at things like, corporate AI policies. I mean, as I speak, a piece in the New York Times published yesterday, as we're recording this, the hottest job in corporate America is the executive in charge of AI, which is really interesting. I mean, I saw one study saying that 2/3 of business leaders felt employees should not use AI without a manager's permission, for example. So with all of this, going around thinking about who is ultimately responsible, should something go wrong, and that kind of side of it, I'm interested to know what your perspectives are on this, and maybe the pitfalls that could and should be avoided as well.
Sure, Dan, I'll start on that. I think absolutely you're seeing the evolution of the chief AI officer and similar roles coming up because it's a challenging technology. And the ethical and security elements around this are very important and require dedicated resource. So taking that step, number one, is important. Why organizations might feel hesitant or there's a risk is where they're using external publicly available generative AI solutions and others perhaps off the shelf, where the particular data that's been used to train the asset or has been is not traceable. These sorts of problems can cause ethical issues, right? Where did it come from? How has it been put together, and so on? This traceability is very important. And so, of course, employees of any organization are bound to experiment, and generally wouldn't necessarily stop them. But in this case, where you have generative AI and you're playing with various data sets and then you're publishing them or sharing them with external organizations who will reuse that data, and it might crop up somewhere else for someone else using the same service, these create major security headaches and holes. So, of course, organizations need to understand the structure of that. But that's, again, where SAP and Lucy, for example, are well equipped and organized to help. We as SAP, we built our own generative AI solutions as well as working with Lucy. We don't share the information and data publicly. Everything is within the SAP ecosystem, and it's the customer's own data, right? So where you are able to use that, and as SAP employees, for example, we have our own internal sandbox, if you like, where we can experiment and play with various AI tools to learn from those. But then those are maintained accurately and securely inside SAP's own firewalls, and the data never leaves SAP's jurisdiction, if you like. So this is why I think that there will be some concerns about it. But then one needs to strike a balance between experimentation, right, in the right way and using the correct tools and under the correct supervision. And that's the role of a chief AI officer to ensure that provision is made. But then equally also reaching out to responsible partners such as SAP to help identify and chart the best way forward and the best tool set to use so that responsible use is delivered, right? So SAP's strategy is built around that. It's responsible, ethical, and reliable, and that we ensure that ethics are built in from the ground up. And I think where you see that gap right now in the very early days, and it's still early days, we're barely a year into this, this will take some time to mature, but I think people will very quickly, just as they did in the early days of perhaps internet adoption and email and all sorts of things and webmail, if you're old enough to remember that kind of thing, we're going to see the same, I think, much quicker maturity around how these things are deployed, used, acquired, and licensed.
Yeah, smart. That's just an awesome view. I think to reiterate, what's so important is that companies understand how their data is used and what it's being used with or against as these LLMs and other tools become available. One of the things Lucy has done is, again, we're focused on your data. So it's not about that internet data. It's always about the data you own or license. But the other component that we've done is it's really choose your own LLM and choose your own generative component of that. So Lucy's not constructed on top of an LLM. Lucy's got its own technology and how Lucy works. That said, as companies develop their own LLMs or choose a specific tool or choose a specific implementation, we're saying, hey, that's fine. We can use and point to whatever tech is out there. It is important that there is a policy. Companies have to have one. Employees have to understand how they're supposed to use it. And if they're using it in that public forum, just logging into something, Bard, ChatGPT, whatever it is, don't put your company data in there. It's really a simple policy. It doesn't have to be more complex than that. And then the companies need to say, hey, here is what we want you to use. And then here are the systems that we leverage. And as Sammar said, SAP has provided their employees a solution. Here's what to use. SAP is building tools for their customers that are secure. And again, that trusted vendor relationship. And certainly as this happened last year, we ended up in front of CTOs, chief legal officers, all kinds of conversations on how we were using AI. And the cool part was, hey, we had done it the way appropriately you should, securing data. And so always became input almost to the policies in the places where we already existed, right? It's a different case when you're bringing in new technology. But these policies are, again, they're not AI policies. They're generative LLM usage, use cases, how that data needs to be managed through the life cycle. And over time, this will become obvious. The largest of companies will have their own versions of LLMs. One of the things that people don't realize is an LLM is kind of a one-size-fits-all solution for the company. So whatever data becomes inside a company's LLM becomes accessible to all the employees of the company. And one of the things that SAP has done in their implementations and Lucy's done in our implementations is really the concept of also security levels. So if you don't have access to the data, you don't have access to the answers from that data. And that's a big component of the gap in how people are viewing this AI technology. There's going to be a universal use case where we'll say all employees can have access to this content, and that can be delivered in one way. But in a different way, executives, managers, geographies, regions, all of these components need secure access to the data that they have available to them. And that component is really an important part of how we're going to apply AI. Some things good for everybody to have. Other things, we need to ensure that the right people only have access to the right information, even through the AI.
Okay, great. Thank you very much indeed, both of you. I mean, that sort of distinction that you make, Dan, about the data, I think leads in very nicely to talking about, something that we're seeing a lot more, which is these kind of wider AI assistants that are being developed, AI sort of co-pilots, if you will. A lot of interest, a lot of innovation going into this space, of course. Sammar, to you first of all, just tell me, I guess, how SAP is addressing the opportunities here, both from a product perspective and perhaps from a broader point of view as well, if you can.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the innovation is continuous, and SAP has just launched its Copilot for S4 Joule, which is now available. So do visit SAP's website to find out more. Basically, this enables using LLMs customers to be able to ask natural language questions to the Joule assistant about data in their company, right? So whether it's a query about inventory or delivery or what's my top selling product, etc. The connection here is to leverage artificial intelligence to help organizations leverage the capability and the data and the analytics of the system by simply having a conversation as you would with a colleague, right? So this becomes a precise implementation of natural language in which to interact with AI, which is therefore understanding your query and then pulling up and formatting and delivering the right response in the correct way. So this Copilot is now available, so do check it out. And at the same time, then also we have partnerships with Microsoft and several others where we're integrating Microsoft Copilot, for example, into SAP SuccessFactors and other product offerings, so that you can complete the journey end to end. And what this reflects is the strengths of individual partners such as Microsoft or Lucy or others who create Copilots or similar technologies that are then connected to SAP, allow the customers to complete the journey. So if you like, if for a given query, you're going to perhaps start your query with a Microsoft Copilot, but you're going to need to then drive that query into your core data, which is where SAP comes in and drives that integration all the way through. And that might then also require the assistance of other SAP AIs embedded in, for example, the core inside S4 to deliver the response. Now, the experience of the customer is entirely seamless, but the point is you're leveraging AI as part of that to achieve an outcome, right? At the end of the day, people are consuming the response. That's what is ultimately delivered, right? That is what matters to the end user, to the end customer, not whether it's powered by AI or which particular Copilot was initiating part of that particular question or what interface was used, but do I get a valid, reliable, secure, and relevant response, right? That actually makes sense to me. And so we are integrating those into every facet of customer interaction, whether it be from CX or from our line of business solutions or all the way through down to the partners that we're working with. So these co-pilots are triggering new exciting innovations in how customers can choose to interact with SAP and the entire ecosystem of integrated platforms. So whether you're talking to it, whether you're chatting with it, whether you're using an avatar, it's entirely up to the customer and how they want to implement that, right? But this is a very exciting time in which you're moving not only from co-pilots as effectively as a chat bot, as a pop-up, but then integrating all sorts of potential future opportunities for interfaces, right? And I know we're we're having discussions about how we integrate computer vision or augmented reality and all sorts of things into these. So, look out for future announcements in terms of how we're going to make it an even more exciting journey for our customers to interact.
This generative space and Microsoft is in a bunch of work. SAP's got just this awesome tool with Access and more coming, as Sammar just said. One of the things, Lucy is a knowledge management platform and not a generative platform. And this is where we come into, we partner with SAP, we partner with Microsoft, we're partnering with, hey, you choose your own, as I kind of said previously. It's pick your own, let you do whatever you want. One of the things, if you think about it, I'm trying to put together a presentation, I'm trying to build a white paper, I'm trying to do something. And the idea is I want to ensure I have the right content, the right inputs to that process. And so that's where Lucy comes in with the concept of, hey, I want to ask a few questions. I want to grab the source material from my answers, not the answer necessarily, but also the source material. I want to feed that into that generative copilot process and then work with that as the source for building out this next presentation or this next white paper or content or whatever I'm working on. And so there's different forms and functions to this, but the real key is, again, we want to have validated, good content that is the input to the actual process that I'm about to embark upon, and to be able to execute, a Lucy query from Joule or Microsoft Copilot or right from that space is kind of where we are adding value. And again, we're kind of that ubiquitous access to lots of sources of knowledge inside a company where individuals can go pull from all of the content they have available and then start building on top of that. So huge power, and we're just beginning. I just want to say, everyone is, right now it's everyone is adding, this generative copilot kind of functionality to all applications. The power is going to be where it goes from here, not that the first iteration is good. I'm not trying to belittle it. We're just beginning what the power of this is going to be. And again, it's Lucy, the knowledge management platform, is here to feed wherever your solution is, whatever it is. And we're just excited by the power of the two together, kind of much better together kind of solution. And our customers are really, really excited by it.
Okay, fantastic. So that explains sort of both sides of the coin, if you like, very well. Thank you both for that. Just out of interest, obviously, Sammar, you mentioned, and we await the future announcements, of course, with interest about the exciting new applications, ways that customers can interact with the SAP, the future sort of user interfaces and opportunities there as well. Obviously, just nothing specific, but it'd be nice to get an idea, a hypothetical idea, maybe from both of you, about what this future could look like. I know you mentioned augmented reality, but just sort of give us an idea of what this exciting next generation could look like if all goes to plan.
Yeah, sure. I mean, if you take a look into the near future, in fact, just recently in December, I gave a presentation to a group of CEOs in Turkey, in Istanbul. This was the meeting of retail CEOs across the country, and I shared with them a similar view. They're asking me, that was the request for that particular event, what does the future look like? And I said, let's take retail as an example, which is, of course, their industry. How will AI impact that? What I was able to illustrate for them was how artificial intelligence will permeate the entire end-to-end customer journey. From when a particular customer wakes up, and I created the whole customer journey for that particular presentation, for a young lady, Zara, who wakes up in the morning and for example, her phone automatically takes a look at her agenda, the software, the operating system, the AI looks at her agenda for the day and makes recommendations for what's the best thing to wear, what's trending on social, etc., from her current wardrobe, and it'll help organize and plan the rest of the day. And I won't go through the entire journey end to end, but every facet of her journey, for example, from waking up to going out to meeting friends to, for example, going to a restaurant, on arrival, using a combination of both geolocation, AI, and our own health and diet and fitness plan, for example. An AI will help select what is the best menu items available and pre-order for her if she plans to have lunch at that particular establishment, and so on and so on. So artificial intelligence will very quickly permeate the entire experience chain, end to end, the entire customer journey, and ultimately also at the back end, the value chain. When you're delivering experiences all the way through from procurement to product availability, through to last mile delivery, every aspect will be improved and sharpened. And the point is that, from a customer perspective, that end consumer customer in this case, for example, of retail, the experience should be entirely transparent. It should feel obviously much more improved, much more personal, much more direct, right? The sharpening of this is done by AIs at every stage of that journey, doing that. They are personalizing the offer, understanding the customer, using predictive algorithms and predictive AI as well to map out what the customer is most likely to do and pre-position offers for them, and so on. And so it becomes a win-win, right? And then at the back end of that, for the retailer, for the mall operator, for the brands, all those points of interaction that currently tend to reside in particular data silos, from loyalty data through to point of sale data, through to buying and procurement, shipping, etc. Again, AI can help integrate and manage all of that to give a single version of the truth and deep analytics. So we're going to see how this will permeate every facet of the customer journey from end to end. And I think recently at NRF, SAP showcased many of these scenarios. Lucy was also there in strength as well. NRF, I wasn't there, unfortunately, Dan. But Dan, would you like to share from what you saw at NRF and how you see that journey evolving?
Yeah, thanks. I love your vision. I think that as this is applied to the individual as much as the workplace becomes part of that, kind of to take it into just the workplace, and the idea of being able to say, hey, I have to present to all the CEOs at NRF or whatever it is, and I'm starting to interact with my assistant, right? And this assistant is, hey, hey, Lucy, I need to find all of the information on energy drink consumption in Istanbul and the trends of millennials as it gets there. And boom, that's presented. And whether that's also a data visualization that you're inside the data, you could see that, or whether it's just the charts come up, you say, hey, I format it this way, I want to zoom in on that, you're actually thinking, and actually, according yesterday, Elon Musk implanted something in someone's brain, so that's a first too. So we could actually be thinking it, and it starts happening on our screen or in that interaction, and together with that assistant, you're building out the presentation, you're creating the research framework that you want to execute. You ask a question, and the data may be unknown to the company, and it automatically builds out kind of the research or the search or query, or asks the panel that you have assembled electronically the questions that you want answered. And in moments, you're pulling together content that would take a team of people months to do in kind of the yesteryear. And so again, it's a whole level of efficiency, but it's not the efficiency of wasting my time pulling it together that's so powerful. That's just a multiple of, hey, I get paid X and they're there. It's actually making better decisions faster. It's actually understanding the data. Anybody who's been in a corporation doing research projects and somebody comes in, an executive comes in and says, do we know this? And you say, no, and let me get back to you. You come back 3 weeks later, a whole team of people have been working on it, and you present it to the exec, and the answer is, I already had to make that decision, right? I didn't have the luxury of waiting for all the research to come to me to get there. And it's that speed of execution, of understanding, of bringing forward knowledge and interacting and playing with it that's going to change how we make decisions. You wouldn't make a decision without information. You know, that going from the gut is often required because I don't have access to what I need. And that's where just the speed of business and the capabilities of understanding, and hopefully even the inputs, you know, become even more automated, kind of in the understanding, I'm going to lunch, what am I going to order? Well, I'm going to this meeting, what do I need to know for the meeting, right? And so if the again starts thinking with you and on your behalf, I don't want to say for you, I still believe that the knowledge worker is part of the process, and understanding, but more and more of the content will be presented. You'll have you know, kind of a baseline, as opposed to we complain when there isn't an agenda for a meeting. Now we're going to complain where the briefing document that we get before the meeting is going to be the most important component, because then we can just go into the decision modes and again speed up time.
Okay, great. Thank you both. I mean, the question I was going to ask was, I guess, around advice for companies sort of navigating this, negotiating this, because I mean, first of all, obviously this vision, it's, you know, I mean, how do they cope with the speed and the possibilities available to them? I mean, we've spoken previously about the rise of the chief AI officer. Where do they fit in? The speed of development, the cultural change that is required, where the companies are just in effect flying by the seat of their pants, if you will. But how are companies able to get a grip on this if they haven't already, or even if they have a little bit, and sort of go with the flow, if you will, and try to make sense of it all? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, James, that's a great question. I think, you know, it's a question of our times for all leaders and business leaders. And I think this is a topic that crosses out of, you know, the traditional technology area, you know, straight into the CEO's office, right? And not only that, you know, stakeholders, shareholders, regulators will be demanding of your organization, whether you're large or small, what actions are you taking around this? Right. The fundamental step, of course, I think is first, you know, pause, take a deep breath, and you know, take time to analyze the market. There's plenty of analysis available, third-party analysis that one can take up, and of course, consult with companies such as SAP, of course, that can provide you that best advice for your particular industry, right? So take the right advice, and then from that, you know, decide what will add value. I talked about this at the start as well of our talk. Fundamentally, it's not about obviously chasing the latest innovation or just throwing dollars at whatever GPT. It's that you need to identify in which use cases make sense, because there's no panacea, there's no silver bullet, there's no magic AI for everything, right? And this is the first thing to understand, I think, for the layperson perhaps, is, you know, you have to just identify in which use cases will it make sense, right? And there are use cases for almost everything, whether it's your back office, HR, finance, procurement, supply chain, or whether it's your front office and your operations, or the customer experience and so on, marketing, and all of these have various benefits. And so you need to target those carefully to say, where will it make sense? A number of solutions available in the market today, for example, tend to be marketing or customer experience led, because that's where a lot of data has been collected. There's a strong offering there. There's a strong background of data and customer history, for example, that can be leveraged almost from the get-go, right? So you tend to see right now, those are perhaps some of the earlier offerings, but now we're seeing, you know, the middle tail coming, where you're looking at supply chain, procurement, et cetera, that drives value deeper into that. But for any organization, the first thing is to identify, where do you see impact? And again, if one is struggling with that, you know, please reach out to us at SAP. For example, more than happy to help you identify where we see, given your business, typically the greatest impact will come. once you've identified that impact and that value, then you focus in and double down on that to say, okay, this is where I see that. I've also looked at other areas, but this is where I'd like to start, and this will deliver the maximum value. And then you can drive that particular adoption and the change management required of that with your process, with your people, with your customers in that, and then learn any particular lessons that have to be learned on that. So, I mean, it's not like, in the broadest possible term, like a straightforward innovation or like in the old days, connecting your company to the telephone exchange or to the internet, right? It has to have very specific use cases, and those have to be selected carefully.
Sammar, great. I think what you meant to say is pause, take a deep breath, and call Lucy and SAP, right? That's the progression that we're really want to get you to. Your conversation about use cases and driving measurable ROI or outcomes that you're trying to get to, and I use the word competitive advantage, right? How do you establish some competitive advantage? At some point, it's catch up or other things that you may have to do, but finding those opportunities are huge. Now, what I do is I can't tell you how many times somebody hears the word AI in the organization, they bring forward, they're talking to Lucy, they're talking to somebody, that use case comes forward, and the CIO, the technology teams go, AI, we've got it. And this AI, we've got it is not a situation that anybody has, because as Sammar described, it's about there's different deliveries, there's different reasons to have it, there's different places for it, and all of these are not going to be done by a monolithic AI in the center, right? That's not what's going to happen inside an organization. The data is the gold in the middle, as Sammar said earlier, and understanding where the data is and how to leverage it, but it's going to be attached to multiple sets or solutions and how to do different components and different things. And so if you're in the IT side and you're saying, we've got AI done, you don't. That's okay. Nobody does. It's not possible. And because of the innovations that are happening out in the world today, if you thought you had it and you did have it yesterday, you don't have it today. So you have to be open to learning and seeing and understanding where the possibilities are for this use case, this set of ROI, and looking for those competitive advantages, and not think, hey, yeah, well, we did that. It's already checked off. This isn't going to be checked off for a decade. I mean, just to be clear, you're going to do stuff, continual improvement. You're going to pick solution sets that do lots of things, but it's not going to be, hey, yeah, we're okay, we've got it, and that's not, corporations they run on SAP, they run on Microsoft, they run on SAP and Microsoft. Right? I mean, how many corporations have SAP ERP systems and Microsoft Office and email and other components and Teams? Well, it's the same thing. There isn't going to be a universal answer to AI. We've got it. We have to drive towards, hey, understanding how we can be leveraged in different areas of the business to find those right opportunities and ripe opportunities. And again, the thought process should be, here are the use cases we're trying to deliver on. Here are the measures or metrics that we're going to define as success. And then let's take a look at the solution sets there. And of course, SAP and Lucy should be in consideration across the board here, because we are leaders in what we're doing, and we're doing it again for real companies at real scale.
Yeah, and Dan, that's very wise words. I just wanted to add to that. I think the targeting and focus around industry is extremely important, right? Not only is there's no single silver bullet or a panacea, as you said, there's not monolithic AI, sitting there. You don't have a Whopper or whatever sitting in your data center now. It's not the case. but also depending on your industry. If you're a law firm, if you're a firm of architects, if you're a consumer products company, selling soda, if you're a chocolate company, there are solutions and AI solutions very relevant to your specific industry and your specific supply chain that should be investigated, right? And SAP and Lucy are here to help. But also wanted to emphasize in our partnership, particularly with Lucy, for example, Lucy is one of those, as I see it, is a cross-industry solution, right? Because it's knowledge management. It's not necessarily tied to a specific industry, but you have to think of this as a grid, right? So let's say you're a chocolate manufacturer based out of a European country, you're selling your brand globally. You have manufacturing plants all over the world. You have procurement all over the world. You have marketing in dozens of languages. How are you going to approach that particular problem, right? There are many areas in which you can leverage AI to help, again, in your supply chain, in your procurement, in your marketing, understanding your customer, right? All of these have specific solutions. When you cut across the entire business, the power of, for example, SAP and Lucy together is that this actually spans the entire business when it comes to knowledge management. This, I think, also is worth emphasizing, Dan, for our audience here, is that knowledge management combined with AI and SAP is a real game changer. And I think that's what I'm really excited about our partnership, Dan.
Totally appreciate that. And yeah, we believe, again, SAP houses the data, lots of great data, lots of great interactions across HRs, customer success, CRM, but also, and then the raw data of how do we manufacture and go to market. So it's a powerful changing world, and we're excited to do it together.
Fantastic. Okay, well, I think we're almost halfway there anyway on this last question that I was going to ask about what can we expect to see from the Lucy and SAP partnership going forward. But if you could sort of distill that down and give us an idea, then yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, certainly from SAP side of things, and as I'm working in the industry business unit, it is about maximizing our reach and go to market with our customers and sharing this exciting innovation. So we are looking to build those partnerships with customers, identify that specific opportunity and use case where that value makes sense. And let's be fair, of course, the proposition is not for every single person or every single company, but where the value makes sense. So how do we build that compelling proposition? So part of that for us is to make sure that value case is very clear from the joint proposition from SAP and Lucy, and that the customer has the right prerequisites and is able to take advantage of this. So part of that journey comes to both of us collaborating to ensure that customers are ready to manage the opportunity and drive the adoption into the organization. And we work closely with Lucy, for example, on the implementation. Right, so how will it be implemented in terms of the timescales? When can customers start to see results? And that's another great win-win, I think, for SAP and Lucy together, is that the timescales of these are relatively short. Right, this is not a classical ERP implementation. These are relatively quick wins, and customers can see the benefits straight away. And as they start to see that, then we can both work together to expand the scope, and that's something that we're working on together that comes to our joint go-to-market.
Yeah, it's great. Speed wins, right? And you want to start using these technologies. And I mean, Lucy implementation from first access to data to productive use is measured in weeks. We talk about 6 weeks to get there. That's not every piece of data everywhere in the organization. That's a starting point. But 6 weeks to productive use is a little better than the ERP implementation time schedule. We say that in a good way. We're trying to leverage all the infrastructure that's already been there. It's so important for companies to get going, and go to market is a how we're going to see this, but it's the advantages that we're going to deliver to those customers that are really the most important. And we went to market for the first time together in the fourth quarter here, and together we've already closed 2 really big deals. One of the world's largest retailers, one of the world's largest CPG companies, And then the other piece is Lucy's customers are already SAP customers. So we're working together in expanding inside some of our existing implementations in other places. Again, knowledge management is something that, as Sammar said, is kind of universally needed across organizations. If you think about just how much information exists inside a company, and again, whether that's stored in the SAP systems, but I just use the example, how many PowerPoints are created in any Fortune 1000 company every day? Because it's measured in thousands or tens of thousands. And what Lucy does is allow the company to capture the knowledge that has been converted from data, worked on by people, and put into that PowerPoint, that presentation, the Word document, the PDF, the audio file, the video file, and all the systems information, and it'll give that user ubiquitous access secured to what I can ask and learn about and leverage that information for whatever's next. And it's a universal need. And SAP's got just, an awesome set of clients with this need, and leveraging, again, our integrations to SAP, and those will continue to grow. SAP's innovating. We're going to grow with their new innovations. We're doing deeper integrations into each of the tools, and so often driven by customers, right? So we're integrated, but hey, I need access to this or that. We update and drive innovation together. So listening to customers, listening to the marketplace, and driving true ROI and benefit across organizations is where we have to continue to go.
Just to wrap up, I think it's I want to underline it. This is early days in a very exciting journey, right? We're seeing the compression of innovation cycles, but at the same time, remember, adoption cycles do lag. So whilst the technology may be available and innovation is proceeding at pace, adoption also has to catch up, right? And there can be a sort of overarching effect of that wave, right? It takes time for organizations, for people to choose to make the investments. And, in a general sense, of course, there will be bumps and problems and challenges along the way. And I think in the general press, you're going to start seeing those where perhaps things don't go the right way, because of course, that particular organization didn't take the advice of SAP and Lucy, for example. But this will take some time and it will evolve. But I think also fundamentally, don't forget, the readiness of organizations and people and learning is also important. So you have to take your people, your change management, your organization, your training, the full package also goes along with this as you start to impact business processes and customer expectations. And so the changes in ways of working, and when you say you improve or reduce, for example, inefficiencies generated by automating processes through AI, what do you do with the extra hours that are saved, right? And ensure that you maximize the value, and that also people are able to adapt to new ways of working in collaboration with AIs that in fact will add great value to their jobs and to the organizations.
Yeah, awesome. You talked about organizational change management, right? And anytime you bring in a new system, a new way to work, there has to be that conversation of how to roll it out. What do you do to promote it? What do you do? And we have an adoption playbook and help again, companies that we're working with do that. But I also, often I'm talking, you talk to retailers or consumer packaged goods companies, and I ask the question, how do you roll out a new product, or how do you open a new store, or what do you do? And they hire an agency, they have a campaign, they do all these things. And I say, how do you roll out a system? We launch it. No, it's the same thought process and methodology to bring a successful system to fruition. And it's educating, and it's making people understand how to use it. It's hero stories of those who have accomplished and done and shared within the organization. It's reach and frequency of sharing all of that, and then it's changing behavior to hey, did you ask Lucy? And we know that when people are looking for information in organizations, they kind of go look for it, and they spend a lot of time doing that. But the other thing they do, and I know we're all guilty, is we go to our communications channel, Teams or Slack or Zoom or Google Chat or whatever it is, and you quickly ask 20 people, hey, who knows this? So now am I not only wasting my time, I've interrupted 20 people's workflows, some of which may respond. And the cool part is if you just mention Lucy in that same chat, Lucy will bring the answer and likely, in a second or two, so faster than anybody else would answer. And so it's by, again, making that change of process and again, stop interrupting other people and let the systems do it for us. And then, I mean, again, if it's not there, then bother others or ask others, or, hey, what's your opinion of this? Or where someone's adding value, not being a research librarian for whatever they might have touched in the past. Huge opportunities. I think, again, the message to companies is, hey, there's some really awesome solutions, knowledge management, the integration with ERP systems and HR systems and customer interfaces and all the places that you can leverage. And it's been a year. Let's get going. Let's get trying, and we can get you up and running in 6 weeks. So let's demonstrate the value to you in a really quick manner.